How you doing?
What are you doing?
Geologists spend their lives studying the rocks, the stories they tell. The province of Newfoundland and Labrador is geologically unique, quite amazing. No other easily reached place has a geological record that can so fully reveal a fascinating story of our time, going back almost to the birth of the earth, over 4.5 billion years. Our province's oldest rocks in the north of Labrador date from almost 4 billion years ago and are amongst the oldest rocks discovered on Earth. Now here, inside Signal Hill within the Johnson Geo Center, you're surrounded by rocks that are over 550 million years old. During your visit to the Geo Center, you will see and touch these very ancient rocks. Rocks that have witnessed the most interesting geological times and events in the story of our planet, Earth.
The rocks of Signal Hill were formed 30 million years before the first fish appeared in our oceans, and over 300 million years before the first dinosaurs populated the planet. These rocks were 400 million years old when flowering plants first blossomed on Earth. The age of the rocks that surround you is astonishing. They existed 100 million years before the birth of the Appalachian Mountains, and over 450 million years before the formation of the Rocky Mountains. The creation of the world-famous Great Lakes is a recent phenomenon, since they were formed only 12,000 years ago. At one time, our planet had a single massive continent named Pangaea. Immense pressures from deep under the Earth's crust broke Pangaea into huge individual continents that moved slowly around the Earth's surface as vast oceans opened and closed between them. These new continents and oceans eventually formed what we recognize as the Earth's still changing surface. It may surprise you to know that eastern Newfoundland is made up of ancient volcanoes and sediments that originally formed south of the equator. Back then, eastern Newfoundland had a warm tropical climate, but in time it drifted north and became part of the continent Apollonia. As Pangaea broke apart, the Atlantic Ocean formed along a split in the crust of the supercontinent. Newfoundland was now part of the continent of North America, and the sediments that were to become the Grand Banks began to form. By that time, the rocks around you inside Signal Hill were already more than 350 million years old. While at the Geocenter, you'll see how the truly remarkable geology of Newfoundland and Labrador illustrates the incredible life story of our planet and reveals the secrets of the creation of lands and seas, mountains and rivers, and the causes of earthquakes, volcanoes, tidal waves, and the ice ages. You will hear the stories behind the radical changes that take place in our climate and the constant, all-powerful influences of the sun and our own Earth's gravity. The Geocenter will help you discover answers to puzzles involving our planet, our province, and our future.
Our Earth still remembers its fiery birth. Even now it is restless, as the continents slip and grind against each other. The ground beneath one's feet can be changed in an instant.
Volcanoes erupt through fractures in the Earth's crust, spewing molten lava, while earthquakes heave and tear the ground. These violent signs remind us that Earth remains very much a changing planet. The Earth's rocky surface floats on the planet's hot mantle. Convection currents deep inside the mantle slowly move the continents across the face of the planet. New oceans open up, while old ones narrow and clothes. As continents drift slowly across the planet, they sometimes collide, thrusting up new mountain ranges. This movement of continents is called plate tectonics, a theory developed just a few decades ago. The ancient rocks of Newfoundland and Labrador were key in proving this theory. At Rosemore National Park in western Newfoundland, you can see where oceanic crust has been thrust up and slid on top of continental crust. Newfoundland and Labrador, as part of North America, are still drifting away from Europe at about the speed that your fingernails grow. This may seem slow, but come back in a few million years and see how things have changed. Just how the heat from deep inside the Earth reshapes the continents, so the oceans around us and the atmosphere above us are in constant change, sustaining the conditions that support life on our blue planet. But life was virtually extinguished in Newfoundland and Labrador during the last ice age, which began about 2 million years ago. Only 18,000 years ago, much of North America, including Newfoundland and Labrador, was covered by massive accumulations of ice. The slow, grinding movement of glaciers across the landscape created smooth-walled valleys, dropped huge boulders across the landscape, and left long ridges of loose stones and gravel. As Earth began to warm, the glaciers melted away, leaving Newfoundland and Labrador with a landscape of scoured rock. Following this melting, 10,000 years ago, the land
Ayos ko yan. Yes, yun sabi mo may tubig.
The Earth was born in fire. Life that it supports was born in water. Our earthly home is unique in the solar system, being the only planet with liquid water on its surface. From the blackness of space, the oceans, which cover 3/4 of the Earth's surface, give it a special name, the blue planet.
Slowly, plants again began to grow as animals returned, feeding on the new vegetation. Humans followed and lived off the newly abundant natural resources by fishing, hunting, and gathering. Later, Europeans arrived and settled in Newfoundland and Labrador as they found a land and sea rich in resources which they harvested for themselves and for export.
Good.
To this day, our province's resources are part of the global economy. These gifts of nature found in Newfoundland and Labrador are part of our unique and extraordinary geological history.
Yan no?
Great mineral resources, including the former Buchan's lead-zinc deposits and the world-class Boise's Bay nickel deposits, were all formed by the geological forces that shaped our province. Our vast offshore oil fields formed from plankton buried in sediments deposited in the warm, shallow waters that once covered the Grand Banks. Since their discovery, these energy reserves have been a prominent part of our economy. Oil from the Hibernia fields comes from a gravity-based platform on the ocean floor, while at the Terra Nova and White Rose fields, floating production and storage vessels are used. Other new fields, such as Hebron, continue to drive development. Our massive hydroelectric developments in Labrador, harnessing the energy of our mighty rivers, supply energy to the northeastern United States and other markets. The harnessing of wind power also contributes additional reserves as we utilize new technologies to produce energy in environmentally responsible ways. In addition to energy, our freshwater resources also play an important role in sustaining human populations. Water is essential to all forms of life. Falling as rain or snow, flowing into the oceans and rivers, or collecting beneath the Earth's surface in underground reservoirs, water is in constant motion. Without this cycle,
Yeah,
our planet
that's
would be barren
arches.
and lifeless.
Yeah, punta kami dyan.
The ebb and flow of water and
Mommy,
ice
we
has
write
shaped
that
our
book.
landscape, our
Mommy, we
environment,
write that
and our
book.
lives in profound ways. Newfoundland and Labrador stands at the meeting place between the North American continent and the Atlantic Ocean. Stretching from our coast toward Europe is the wide, shallow continental shelf and the fish spawning grounds of the fabled Grand Banks. Here, the warm northward Gulf Stream mixes with the cold of the Labrador Current flowing south from Greenland. These currents bring
Sa
rich
Middle
food
Cove.
resources that
Middle
attract
Cove.
fish,
Yeah, yeah.
whales, and other
Whales.
sea life.
Wow.
Moving down on the Labrador Current comes an ocean giant, the iceberg.
Iceberg.
These massive ice
Yeah.
blocks break away from Greenland glaciers
Bird.
and start their journey south.
And sink. Because melted now.
We must develop and use our natural resources carefully, so we behave as intelligent stewards of our natural wealth. As we continue to search for new reserves, we need to work together to reduce the risk of environmental damage and reduce the amount of waste we create. Recycling materials and using less water are two of the ways every one of us can make a difference. We have learned much about our world from the surface of our planet, but today we can learn even more about the Earth from space. Satellites are used by a new breed of explorers to study our planet and province in search of new knowledge.
That's from the
Canada's
TV.
RadarSat
Yeah,
program
satellite.
developed sophisticated Earth observation satellites to monitor environmental changes and provide
That's from-
valuable information
that's
for
from
scientific
YT.
and commercial purposes. Disaster
That's
management, agriculture, forestry, mapping, ice studies, and coastal ocean monitoring have all benefited from this technology. While many scientists are looking back at the Earth from space, others are turning their gaze outward, comparing the physical processes of like planets. Some of this research is done right here, at sites that are similar to those on other planets. The tablelands of Gross Morn and the
Tablelands.
Mastaston crater in Labrador are two sites where researchers are learning about processes on Mars and the Moon. These sites provide new insight into planetary research without leaving our planet. High above our planet, in constant Earth orbit, the International Space Station houses astronauts who live and work in space. Astronauts looking down on Earth for the first time always report a sense of awe, wonder, and concern for the fragile beauty of our unique terrestrial home. Will the increasing need for resources to sustain our growing population ever be met on Earth? Or will we need to move beyond the confines of our own planet to find new reserves? Regardless of which direction we take, we must protect our new planet. We must use careful management and smart technologies to ensure the sustainability of our amazing Earth.
As you leave the theater to begin your exploration of the Geo Center, stop for a moment to look at the massive rock wall of the exhibit room. You will see the stone of Signal Hill as never before seen, until laid bare by hard excavation to build the Geo Center. Come now and explore the amazing story of our planet, our province, our people, and our future.
Ang lagi ito kanina nga sabi mo, nag-uran kaya nag-gather kang tubig parang mag-shower dyan. Oh, okay. Ayos ah.
Mommy, that story is
over there now. Oh, come on. Ah. Oh, that's nice moon.
Mommy, let's go.
Yeah. You see that? Signal Hills rocks existed 300 million years. The first of dinosaur. Signal Hills.
Ay, kapag ko na eh.
Hindi,
Wala
puro.
akong limang.
Ito lang pala.
Naon ko na sa Pilipinas.
Oo. Mas
Mommy,
namit doon.
starfish.
Mas namit ta sa atin.
Cup?